So welcome back to our next video. Again, in this video, we are going to discuss one more mini project idea, that is a blog application, right? So everyone is familiar with the blog application. So what things we have in blog application, that all things we are going to try, right? So if you can see, this is our landing page. This is going to be the first page which user will see. So in the first page, what we are going to do is we will be showing all the blogs we have in our application, right? So if you click on learn more, or if you click on any blogs, it will go to the particular blog page. So you can say this is the page where particular blog page is there. We have opened the particular blog. What are the details we have in that particular blog? Then what are the likes, comments we have got for this particular blog? Then who has created this blog? So user information you can see over here. And what are the recent blogs the particular user has written, that are we are going to show. One more page is there, which is user page. Like if you can see, if we open this particular user, we get to see all the blogs he has created and his user information and the recent latest post, whatever we can say. And what are the tags he writes? I mean, what are the topics he write the blogs on? So this is a simple website or normal HTML I have created. Now coming back to API side. So because we have to depend on the API, so we have the API ready. So you can see all the APIs, you can find it over here. So for the home page where we have to show all the blogs, we have the API get all blogs. So this API will return all the blogs. So now if you click on execute, you can see these are the various blogs already I have added in the database that you can see, right? So once you open this particular blog, then you are going to need certain API, like you need to get the blog app, particular blog details, like blog ID, right? So that will be get blog by ID. So all the APIs I have noted down over here. On the blog page, what things we need? Get blog ID, then get user, because in the side panel, you can see we have to show the user detail also. Then we need to show the total recent blogs of that particular user. We can add the comment, we can load all the comments, and we can load all the likes. So these are the various APIs which we are going to need. Now, coming back to our project creation. So I have just created a simple project with command ng new blog app. Then it would have asked like, do you need a routing file or not? So I have said yes. So basic project is created. Now let's just open that in a Visual Studio. File, open folder, then D drive, sorry, YouTube, then blog app, right? This is my project which I have created. So I have to just select folder. So now that particular project is open, right? So after creating the first project, what things we need to do? First, we need to install the bootstrap. So let's go to the npm bootstrap npm, right? We just need the command. So let's copy this. Let's open the terminal, new terminal. Now it will install the bootstrap and add an entry in package.json also. See, this bootstrap entry is added over here. After that, if you see this, let's see if we are going to need the icon. Yes. So you can see we are going to need some icons. So for that, again, we need the font awesome also. So let's go to font. Let's search font awesome. Font awesome. Right. So this is the command. Let's run this in the terminal again. So we have installed two packages. First is the bootstrap and second is the font awesome. So you can see entry has been added over. Now, after installing some CSS, just like the external libraries, we need to add those in the angular.json, just like we used to add in the head tag, the link of those, right? So we need to add it in the style section. So now it will be from double quotes node underscore modules. Let me just see the path. Okay, so this is the path we need to add from the node module and particular folders. Now we have installed the bootstrap and the font awesome, and we have added the entries in angular.json also. After that, we need to run the projects. So to run the project, we have to use the command ngS serve, and my API only will give response on the particular port number, that is 4204. So I have to specify the port also. Otherwise, you can directly run the project using ngServe, but I have to specify run on the specific port. So port 4204, enter. Let me just do it again. So now this will run the application on particular 4204 port. So now if you can see, project runs successfully on localhost 4204. Now next thing is, this is the basic page we get once we create the project. Now we need to create the components. So if you can see, we just need 3 components. First is home page. So app component is there, so we can use that for the landing page. Then second component will be block component, particular block. And third component will be user profile. So the app component is we are going to use for the block page, right? The landing component. Then let me just create folder pages, and inside that I will create 2 components. Open in terminal. Now to create new component is ng generate component and component name, that is blog. So this will create my first component, that is blog. So if you can see, once we run this command, it has created 4 files and it has updated 1 file. So whenever you create the component, it will add the entry to the app module in the declaration section, right? So let's just create the second component, that is going to be for profile. So ng generate, instead of blog, it will be profile, enter. So it will again create second component. You can see entry has been added over here. So these are the 2 components we have created. Now next thing is we have to create the routes. So routes are, so first route will be, while project creation, we have said yes, while for the routing file. So it has created routing file. So inside that we get the empty array already created. So here we need to create the route. The first path will be blog component, and component will be block component. Second, again second object, again path will be profile, and component we have to open is profile component. Right. So we have created 2 routes, blog and the profile. Now let's just copy paste the HTML part. So HTML I have already over here. So that is task 1. Yeah, this HTML we are going to need in our app component. So let's go over here. Open with. Let me just do the copy paste thing. So now I have added it. So you can see the first block page is coming. But one more component, extra component is we are going to need is, because in the app component, we will just keep our navbar, right? So for that, let's just create one more component where we will be showing all blocks. So open in terminal, ng generate component blocks and center, right? So in our app component, we will just keep our navbar. So that is this. Let me remove the whole section, and we will put the remaining section into our blocks component, right? So let me just copy paste this also and put it over here. Let's just create one more route. This will be blocks component. So now we have three routes. First is blocks, where we will be showing all the blocks. Then if we open the particular club, this component will be needed, and for the profile, this particular route. Now, so block component is done. So let me just get the remaining pages ready. So now if you see in the app component, I have just kept my navbar, right? So only navbar is there in app component. Now we just need to add the router outlet. So router outlet is there. So router outlet is responsible to load the activated route. So now we have three routes, right? So all the three routes we need to add on particular anchor tags. So these are the three routes I have. So first is the blocks component. This will go over here also. Now in normal HTML, we use the href. In Angular, we have to use the router link, right? So here we need to pass our route name, that is blocks. Then second page also going to the same. About page we don't have right now. So let's just keep it as it is. Right now, let's save it all. Now, if we click on home, you can see the route block page is visible. Now I haven't added the images, but since you can consider this is the same page I have added over there, right? So I need this image. So let me just add that image. Right. So I have replaced the images also. So now if you see, we get the same UI, right? This is blogs. Let's try to open the another page. Now, if you can see on the particular blog, we have learn more button. On click of it, we have to navigate to the particular blog page. So let's search for the learn more button. It is in the blogs. Right. So wherever we have this href, that we have to navigate with router link, and the route will be block component. So we have 4 blocks. So let me just replace all the 4 times. So now let's save and check it. Right. So if I click on learn more, why it is not navigating? Something is not right. Let's check if we have an error. Okay. Yes. So you can see now we can see the blog. Right. Now we just need to integrate our APIs. So on the first page, we need to call our first API. That is, let me just close this. That is our get all blocks. So this API we have to write. So if we enter this API on the browser, you can see I'm getting the response, right? So I need to hit this API in my block component. Now let me just close it. So now if you have to call the API, Now we will start our Angular part. So we have to make the API call. So first thing we need to do is in app module, we need to add HTTP client module. So for that, let's just write the import. It will be from @angular.commons/HTTP. And here we need to add HTTP client module. And same we have to add into our import section, right? So first things we have did is we have added HTTP client module. Then in our blocks component, let's create the constructor. Now we need to create the object of HTTP client service. So private HTTP_HTTP client, right? Now we can create a function, load all blocks, opening, closing curly bracket. Let me just format it. Now, what we need to do, first we need to implement the an on init function, that is the lifecycle hook. So implement on init, and then we can create ng on init, right? So this function we have to call on the page load. So on the ng on init, we will call this function. Now here what we need to do, we need to make the API call. So this .http.api call is get method, round bracket, double quotes, and we need to pass our URL. So this is my URL. It will go over here. Then we need to subscribe the data. We need to catch whatever the data this API is returning. So dot subscribe, round bracket, inside round bracket, res:\any. Arrow operator, right? So whatever the response we get, we need to store that. So here I will write blog list:\any. It is going to be array equal to empty initialization. Now, whatever the response I get, I need to store that in this variable. So this dot blog list is equal to. Now, if you see the API, in the API, I'm getting an object, and inside that object, I have the actual array in data. So what I have to do is this dot res dot data I have to use, right? So let's just add a debugger over here and let's check if API call is successful. Save. Let's open the network tab. Let's reload one more time. So here you can see in the result.data, we have got the 7 blocks. So that we are storing. By default, this blog list is empty, right? You can see, but we are going to store the actual array. So in the blog list, we have the array, right? So let's continue. Now we just need to use ngFor on the blog list. So let's go to the HTML part. So call 6, right? So we need to use ngFor on this call 6 div. So star ngFor equal to let blog of blog list, right? Now, what are the things we get in that blog list? We need to make it dynamic. So first part will be image. So image, we have to use the property binding. So if you see the API response, let me just, so we get the banner image inside the banner image, right? So this we have to bind it over here. So blog dot banner image. First part is done. Then okay, I think we have, let me just undo. We have removed the wrong content. Okay, correct only. Let me just right? This is done. Then this is going to be the block title. So now here we can use the interpolation. Block dot. Let's see in which field we get the data. Block title. So this will be over here. Then description. So description, we won't show the whole, but we will show some. So the property is block description, right? Now, let's save and check. Now our blocks will be dynamic. So you can see we have got whatever the image was there. You can see for some blocks we don't have the image. Let's see why do we don't have the image. Yeah, image URL is there. Okay, got it. So wrong image is there. So let me just remove the particular block from the database. Yes, so I have updated the URL in the database. You can see all the images are coming properly. But you can see some blogs have some more content. So the blog description should be limited, right? Once you open the particular blog, then it should show whole detail. So we can restrict this up to particular character using some pipe that says slice pipe we can use on the description. Slice pipe. And for slice pipe, we can say 1 to 20 characters. Let's see what it does. So now it can, you can see some, it is showing just some of the content, right? But still blogs are not coming properly. Let me see why. Let's just add some padding. 0.6 px2. Okay, so after adding some particular height, it is looking fine, right? So next thing is, if I click on particular blog, that particular blog should open. So once I click, I need to pass the ID also of that blog ID, right? So for that, we have to change in some routing, right? So let's go to app routing module.ts. Now instead of this, we have to add the parameter also. That will be ID, right? So we have created a route with parameter. So it should be /:ID, right? Now, from learn more button, directly we had called this. So instead of this, let's call an event. So that will be click event. Open blog. Let's create this function. And here from .ts, we have to navigate now. So for that, we have to create the object of router. So private router : router. Now this will go this dot router dot navigate by URL. And inside that, we have to pass first is our route name, that is blog. And second parameter will be our ID. So from here, we are going to send the parameter that is blog dot blog ID. Let's check if the same response we are getting or not. Yes, blog I is capital. So that we have to put it over here. Now from front end, when we are calling this function, we are sending some parameters. So that we need to catch it over here. So this will be ID. In this ID, we will pass it over here. Column number. So instead of navigate by URL, we have to use just navigate because we are sending the array. So this is my URL and this is a parameter. Now let's save and check. Now, if I navigate on the second block, so just pay attention to the URL. So you can see 103 is visible over here. Now let's go back and let's open the first one. So you can see 119. So that particular blog is opening with the particular ID. Now, in this component, first we have to read the query parameter we have got in the URL. So for that, let's go to the blog component. Now here in constructor, first we have to create the instance of activated route. So private activated route colon activated route. So activated route is used to read the data from the query parameter. So this dot activated route dot params dot subscribe. Right. So we need to store the blog ID. So blog ID colon number variable I'm creating here. I will be holding the blog ID. Let's initialize it with 0 initially. And this will be this dot blog ID equal to res dot ID. Now let me just give the data type any. Let's just add a debugger over here. Let's save and check it now. Inspect. Now if I reload, so you can see in result ID we have got 119, and that same thing we are storing in the this dot blog ID, right? So now we have got the blog ID, like which particular blog we have to open. So now we have to use the another API, that is get blog by blog ID. So this API call we have to make. So let's create a function. Open blog. Right. So again, we are making the API call. So we have to create the HTTP object. So private HTTP colon HTTP client. Right. So here this dot HTTP dot API call is get only. And this is the URL. And we just need the ID dynamics. So ID colon number. Now we are going to call these functions once we have got the blog ID. So this dot open blog and we will pass the ID, that is this dot blog ID. Right. So now this ID we have to pass it instead of this static ID will be over. Then subscribe call because we need to catch the result. Colon any arrow operator inside. And we need to store the blog information in the variable. So blog details colon any. Right. So whatever the response we get from this API, we need to store that. So this dot blog details is equal to res dot data. Right. So let's just save and check if we are making the API call correctly. Continue. So in the network call, you can see we have successfully made the API call and we have got the response also. Right. So now these things we have to make the dynamic, right? The blog image, the actual, what are the description of the blog, right? So these things we need to make it dynamic. So this variable I will be using. So first thing is like image, we need to make it dynamic. So this is src. Let's make it in a square bracket so that it will be property binding. Blog detail dot. Let's see what properties we get. That will be banner image. Banner image is done. After that, it is just interpolation. So this is my title. Instead of banner image, it will be, let's see the response, blog title. And here we need to show the description. So here it will be blog details dot blog description. So let's save and check if we can see the data. Yes, you can see details are there because we don't have much details. So let me just remove the remaining things. So you can see this is the title and this is the description. Only this much description I had. Let's open another blog. So in this blog, yes, so we had some description over here. So this is a image, blog title, the description, and the image. It is coming from the API side. Now, in the blog detail, let me open it. Right. In the blog detail, we will get the user ID, like which user has created this blog. So you can see user ID we are getting. So now we need to make the another API call from where we will get the user detail. So that will be get user detail by blog ID. So this is the second API call we are going to make in the blog component only. Get user details. Right. Again, this dot HTTP dot get round bracket double quotes. This will be URL. Just ID will be dynamic. So this dot, okay, blog detail dot user ID. Again, subscribe, same thing we are going to use. Now, it's just like the blog detail, we need one more variable that is going to be user details. Hold on, any. And here it will be this. So once we have got the blog detail, after that, we have to make this API call. So like this. And the user detail we will be showing over here. So this is my username. Let's check if API call is successful or not. Then we will show the details. Right. So name is there. So user details dot name. Then below that, we can show position or anything, some data we are getting, but that we can show. Then here, user details dot. We can show profile summary. Right. And profile photo also we can bind it over here in image tag. Currently it is not coming, but let me just add it from the backend. What is it? Profile photo URL. Right. So basic things I have done. So let's just save and check. Yes, so you can see details are coming. Now we just need to add some image in the particular user detail. Let's check what was the ID. So user ID was 1. So let me just add an image. Right, so let's just add an image. Open a new tab. This is not correct image. Let me just find proper image. Okay, this is the proper image. We have to add it in the profile photo URL. Right. So now I have added it. So you can see once we reload. See, image is visible over here, but image height we need to fix it. So let's just fix the height. So style, height, let's say 110 px. So let's save and check if it perfectly fine. Let me just increase it. $200. Okay, now it is working fine. One more API call is going to be there, that is to get the let. Right. So another API call we are going to need is to get the latest post of this particular user. So we have another API that is get recent blog by this particular user. So let's copy this. Let's create another function. Get recent blogs. Again, this dot http dot get API call URL. Now this will be dynamic. So again, the same thing in the blog detail, we have got the user ID. So this we need to copy paste over here in the subscribe call like that. Right. So basic subscribe call is there. Now we need one more variable to store the recent blog. Colon any array. Right. So whatever the response we get, we need to store it in this variable. And this function also we need to call once we get the blog details. Right. So once we open the blog data, once we get the blog detail, two API calls we have called. First is user detail and the recent blog. So let's save it. And this recent blog we'll be using on the particular. Yes. So let us close. You can see this is the thing we have to use. So on this div, we will use our for loop star ngFor let blog of recent blog, then blog dot image, square bracket, square bracket. So blog dot banner image, then blog dot title. Blog title and date was created. So we get the date. So let's just see what date we get. Created date. And we have to add the pipe also. So date, then dd hyphen mmm hyphen yy. So let's save and check. If we have particular blocks from this user, then we will get it. Yes, blocks are there, but we need to add that style. Height. HttpX. Width. 100%. Yes. So you can see the all blocks created by this particular user. We can see, right? So these are the various details we have. One more thing, like we can call the same like this. We need to call the comment API also. So this is the API. Again, same thing. We have to keep on creating function and we just need to bind it. So this is just a basic blog application we have created with the API integration. Now another page is remaining like user profile page. So the same thing is there. We need to pass the user ID. We need to just bind the data, right? So this is just a whole application from scratch we have started, right? Just the HTML was already pre-developed. I will be sharing it with the GitHub. Hopefully you might have got the basic idea how blog application might be working, right? Another thing to this blog application, like where login things is there, where user can log in, where user can add comment, or he can create his own blog also. That we will be seeing in the next part. Till then, please do subscribe and like my videos.